talking about these laws of mercy and justice. So essentially, when we sin, that draws us away from God, period.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say, for an example, that I don't know, we can give a few analogies of this. One being, let's say a guy jumps out of a plane, heads towards the ground. Gravity is like justice in this situation. No matter what, gravity is going to draw that guy down. Or another example would be like, we take a loan that maybe we should never take, and the law has an effect on us when we can't pay that loan, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And so in both of these, without a savior, without a redeemer, we are in some trouble. Without a parachute, we are certainly in a collision course. Or without, another sort of creditor in the other example, that law is going to have its effect on us, period. So the way this works is that as we sin, justice has claim on us. So that's the reason that Jesus Christ was sent for us. He lived a life where justice did not have a claim on him. He lived a sinless life. And so with that, that becomes like the parachute in our, or rather, Christ puts a parachute on our back or something. I don't know. It's not a perfect example, but you get what I'm saying. Or he stepped in and he pays the debt for us. And so then we can turn around.
No. I'm listening, man. Trust me. I'm holding on to what you're saying.
All righty. And so let's say in the example of the debt, what Christ can then do is he can say, all right, that debt's paid. So now here's what you have to do. Or he can say, here's this parachute. It's going to work within the laws of gravity, right? A parachute does not dismantle the law of gravity.
Mm-mm.
The creditor stepping in and paying the debt that you acquired does not dismantle the law that had its effect on you.
You don't want to know my theory on what you going down. Go.
That's all right.
I just had to say that. Go.
Yeah, no worries. And so in that way, the demands of justice are satisfied, and it's not a breach of the laws of justice, but it's that the demands were satisfied. Now it's clear to me that you have some disagreement here.
You basically just said a loophole.
Okay.
Loopholes are created to be deceiving.
Okay.
First, what's this debt thing? According to, you ever heard of the whole child and parent argument? I don't owe you anything. I didn't ask to be brought here. You ever heard? You heard of that argument? The word debt and the debt owed to God, and the debt owed to God for giving us life. Well, I can use that argument that I just used. I didn't ask to be brought here. And if I known here was going to be here, I probably wouldn't have asked if I was known to be up there this whole entire time. No, but and that's not my theory. That's just something I'm just thinking about just now, going off, just rebutting off what you said. And then this whole thing about Jesus. Why? Who and why? Why does he have to be the loan shark of this? Because that's what I get from that when you said what you just said. Everything you just said leads into my whole thing of fear.
Okay.
And why I feel like the religion is made up. And it's made up by who we now call the government. Well, I'm not going to say the government. I say the government withholds all the freaking, I guess you could say, sacrificial stuff that Bible has that you have to do. All the sacrifices, all the thousands of goats and all that stuff per week or whatever. The government is that. The people who pays the government that's I probably say who made up religion. But this whole fear concept that you just brought up was the whole debt collector, because it did say that in the Book of Mormon. I just cannot remember where. I want to who is before, is it
Enos?
Enos? What book is before Enos?
Oh heavens! Let me check real quick.
I believe it might have been one of those.
Jacob.
It might have been in Jacob. Again, I'm not sure, but somewhere along the lines where it said that you have to pay this debt to God for giving you life. You owe him. And I'm like, that adds a lot to the whole get down or lay down personality that you said prior to that. Also, this whole going to the Bible in the very beginning, not only was it lying from God, the lying was concealed or wrapped in a blanket of fear at the same time. As far as what I perceive from all the stuff that I have been researching, God is not all-knowing. And if he was all-knowing, he would have stopped the devil from coming down, or not even the devil. He would have stopped whoever angels came down and did what they did to humans, and the giants and all that stuff, all that. But if it wasn't for the devil, we wouldn't have known, I guess you could say, known how to combat God. We wouldn't have known how to not sin if it wasn't for him. We wouldn't even know what a sin was if it wasn't for the devil. The Book of Mormon states this stuff. We would have still been in the Garden of Eden. Adam and Eve would have still been the so-called only two people created, which I believe it was a civilization before Adam and Eve. That's a whole nother show. We would have been not knowing how to reproduce, procreate. The Book of Mormon states all of that. That entails that God wasn't even thinking about doing any of this stuff that everybody else says that he's doing. Again, God never stated none of this stuff. Only thing God just is going around and saying is, be me, be with my crew, or lay down. And if you're not going to be with my crew, it's all good. I got my little crew here. We're going to come and take this land because I said they great daddy said they can have this land a long time ago. And every single war, all bloodshed is orchestrated by God. Going back to the Garden of Eden before the transgression, that fear, I feel like we shouldn't even have. Well, I ain't gonna say we shouldn't have. I'm not even sure if fear is an actual emotion. I believe maybe it's a subpart to an emotion. Still not sure. I just probably just trying to sound smart or something. I don't know. But but if it wasn't for God instilling fear into us, we probably wouldn't have known what fear is. Sidebar, fear is a very, very, very useful thing in life, by the way. It is one of the most practical emotions that we have. One of the most, because it heightens practically every sense that we have. It keeps us alert. We're more alert. So I'm not cracking down on the fear emotion, that it does some terrible things too. We get scared, people die. So that's the kind of fear. But as far as feeling that emotion of fear, I don't know where it came from, because according to the Book of Mormon, we're not that smart. We would have stayed in this freaking Garden of Eden forever trying to figure out why is we the only ones here for some reason. But God said, eat of everything else. Just don't touch this tree. Everything is yours. Just don't touch this tree. They didn't touch the tree. Snake. Oh, hold on. I forgot. I don't know why I forget this. I'm talking about fear, and I forgot to implement the fear. The fear came when he said, if you do eat this fruit from this tree, you will die. As we are here walking the planet Earth, they didn't die. First lie, also implementing fear. What I mean by we shouldn't even know what fear is, they were just created roughly maybe 6-7 hours ago, according to the book in that era. So why does Adam and Eve? Oh, hold on, was Eve even created at the time when he said that to Eve to them?
I'm looking at Genesis chapter 3 right now. Yes,
Okay.
it was. So Genesis chapter 3, and perhaps before I'd have to, put a little bit more concentration into this, but at least in Genesis 3, when Adam and Eve are both on the earth, the Lord does say, but of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, God has said, ye shall not eat of it, neither shall ye touch it, lest ye die.
Yep. First lie.
So
They didn't die. They just got kicked out the house. But what I mean by he implemented fear with the word die. If you eat this, you're going to die. They shouldn't even know what die was. They shouldn't even know that they shouldn't even have the thought process to know that they should be scared right now, that they should be scared of death. But for some reason, they were scared of death because God said so. And people can use that whole God is God. He made them comprehend stuff like that. But I choose not to believe that because of other things that progress throughout the Bible. Like he's not all knowing, for one. He's not that's a big one, for one. He's not all knowing, and he's unfallible, which that means that he doesn't make errors, right?
Mm-hmm.
But again, he wouldn't be saying the words regret numerous times in here and throughout the Bible if he doesn't make errors. And on top of big errors, he wouldn't need to flush us out if he didn't think that. Matter of fact, he said it. I made a misjudgment kind of call. That's not the same words per se, which is why he flooded. So all that going back to the whole fear and what you just stated about the debt. Oh my goodness. Like, I just don't get why follow a story. Like, if you're going to follow the Bible, in my opinion, if you're going to follow the Bible, then why you don't believe in comic books then? Because those are stories as well. And I'm not trying to disrespect the Bible, and I'm not trying to disrespect the Book of Mormon or any other religion, but they are stories for the most part. As of today, they might have been real at some point, but today they're stories. And there's no evidence that any of it ever existed throughout the world at all. There's no evidence that God and or Jesus ever existed, but yet we're still believing in these stories because you never met him. And don't give me this BS that you have met him and he looks like me, because I hear that that's the only answer right here from people that say, yeah, I have met him. What he look like? He looked like me. No, that just means the image of God just means head, torso, 4 limbs. Am I not right?
I think, because obviously if we're all created in the image of God, and we all are different, then it can't mean down to like God has my freckles and my thinning hair.
Exactly. So he doesn't look like you. So you can't come with that excuse that you met him and he looks like you. What makes you more special than the actual prophets? Because none of them met him either.
Right. Luckily, you won't get that statement out of us. I've never met God, but I think what we've come to now is the core of this discussion. Like, you've made a lot of points, and they all have answers. Unfortunately, we don't have a shred of hope at getting down into all of these. But here's the central question we're asking. Is God there? Is he real? I find that in order to scientifically disprove the existence of a God is kind of fighting a losing battle. Because if we're going to say that things only exist if we can perceive them, or rather, if we can't perceive something, then it's not real, in order to say that, in order to definitively scientifically say that God is not real, we'd have to be able to perceive all of existence at the same time. It sets up a paradox, as in order to definitively prove there is no God, we'd have to be a God, right?
I am left with the dilemma of everything that I choose to lean towards of my beliefs, that none of us is right or wrong, because until real events, not signs of events, that's for you freaking Christians, get over that freaking sign stuff. But until real events from revelations take place, then neither one of us is right. And that's how I see it. My beliefs nor your beliefs, because hey, it's been the last days for the over 2,000 years. So how long does it take for a day to end? You know, and according to what I got from the Bible, we're miscalculating like a mud if you're going to try to calculate when he's coming back. If I recall right, a day is like 2,000 to 5,000 years to the heavens or something like that. I could be totally wrong on that for what I picked up from the Bible, from where the heavens is, where God derives at. So he said about a week. So if a week is a day, I mean, so if a day is like 1,000 years, then a week is like 5,000 years, and it's only been a little over 2,000.
Personally, I don't believe that this idea that a day is worth this much in heaven or anything is like a hard figure. I think it's.
Well, no,
I think
I'm not calculating it like that. I'm giving a rough. I'm paraphrasing what I've read. The Bible says that.
For example, let's look at Revelations. There's a lot of symbolism, right? Like we haven't.
You want to go down Revelations, man? Revelation is one of the best sci-fi stories I've ever read.
Unfortunately, it's probably the one I understand least. So about the last thing I want to do is talk about something I don't fully understand. But I will say that it's, there's a lot of symbolism there. There's even a lot of symbolism in real stories that have happened, right? Like we can learn stuff. And so I don't think this is given as a hard, like, this is what a day is worth in heaven. I think it's given to say our reckoning of time is different. Okay. And that would make sense to me, that an eternal being sees time a lot better, or maybe not a lot better, but a lot differently than a being that lives about 80 years on average.
Well, we used to live about 900 to 1,000 years.
Still a long shot from eternity.
True, but we lived to one of those days of heaven at one point. At least one day of heaven. Again, I wasn't making up a number out there. I was I don't exactly remember the actual number that was said. And this is what I believe Jesus, this was in the New Testament, I believe. I believe this is what Jesus stated. Well, at least it's what the Bible said Jesus stated. It's 2,000 to 5,000 years. I want to say it's about 1,000 to 500 to 2,000 years per mankind's day. So again, the last days, we still got roughly 2,000 more years to go if something was going to happen. But this is going on kind of long. I don't know how much time you guys have, because I can talk for hours and hours.
Just till the half hour. So.
Okay.
20 seconds. Oh, are you serious?
Yes.
Yeah, son of a gun.
Oh crap! I just wanted to ask, like, why do you actually follow? Why do you actually believe? Are you following because you were brought up in the household to follow, or are you following because you're trying to figure it out or see for yourself?
That's probably the question I want to answer most, but it sounds like Elder Vest does too, and he hasn't talked yet, so I'm going to let him go.
The reason why I've let him talk more is because he has that better understanding than what I do on some of these topics that we're talking about. So I just wanted to put that out real quick. And when it comes down to your question right there, so when I grew up, I didn't believe in any of it. I was one of those that I just didn't believe there was a God, and it took me years. And it just finally came down to that single point of personal revelation that we talk about. So seeking out and prayerfully asking if it's true and seeking to see if it is true. And so when it comes down to personal revelation, it's personal. So everybody has their own answer to it. And they see that.
I know. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to crap on what you said. I may am making a face, but I'm making a face of like, that's what I always hear. And that's something that I guess somebody like me would never get, even though I am serious about wanting to know, is there an actual God? Even though I don't believe that, I'm not saying I don't believe that there's no God, but I believe that the God that you and other Christians believe in is not the God that y'all think that he is. That's what I'm believing more so. And what I find even more interesting, intriguing, is that you have people that actually believe. But the reason why they're believing, for the most part, for what I hear the most, is why not? Like, why not believe? I'm like, well, that is, well, you're doing exactly what he wants you to do. Yeah, blindly follow. So yeah, believe then. But don't pick and choose which portions of it that you want to follow if you're going to believe in it. And that's what I see for the most.
Yeah, this is the part of the conversation where I really want to be involved as much as I can. Unfortunately, we're going to have to go here.
All right, it's all good. Thanks I appreciate it. Go ahead.
Yeah, I will tell you kind of the experience, and it is a pretty common experience. I'm not here to say this is completely radically different, but my experience, the watered down version, is that I was born into a household, strong members. I was sort of that black sheep that didn't want to follow anything, and I was a bullheaded kid, and I still am. And so essentially what that looked like is, eventually my parents' testimony of the gospel, my parents telling me everything was true, wasn't enough for me. And so I went off on my own way. What I found was that, and this is probably going to be something that makes you laugh, but I don't care because it's what happened.
Hey, man, you believe it happened? You believe it.
So what ended up happening is that my life was going downhill fast, to the point where I was about to be, a suicide statistic. I was done with it.
I'm not going to laugh at that, man. Come on, I'm not that sick.
No.
Sick.
That's
I'm
not what
sick,
I'm
man, but not that sick.
But what happened is that luckily things happened. A story in and of itself that never happened. Obviously, I'm still here, right? But I started looking at it and being like, okay, something's not adding up. Something's not right. Here's my family. They're all happy. Here's my friends. They're all happy. Why am I not? And so I just started trying to emulate the things that they were doing that led to their happiness. And believe me, church was about the last thing that I wanted to do. But ultimately, it's the thing that provided me purpose. And it's the thing that provided me help. And it's the thing that led me to ask God if he was there. It's the thing that
led me.
Are you
happy?
Yeah.
You're happy?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Because what I'm getting is the typical type answers or replies is basically, in a nutshell, I forget your name. I'm sorry. What's your name again? The other guy who spoke.
Elder Vest.
Elder Vest, and you are again the main, the leader of the pack.
Oh, come on now. I'm Elder Saunders.
Saunders, yes. Patton Saunders. From what I'm getting, it's the typical reply that I always get. And in a nutshell, I feel like your reply is basically a sign. And I'm like, I'm not convinced of signs, right? Because that's what we always, at least that's what I've seen growing up. Is like signs. Oh, show me a sign. But then you show me a sign about whatever I need to do about my car. And then you go outside, even though the billboard of this car place been here for the last 6-7 months, today you seen it. And that was your sign. And I'm like,
is it okay if I interject? Because we're really running behind.
go, yeah. If you go ahead. You don't even have to explain. We could probably just explain later.
Ultimately, ultimately, what it's gonna come down to is the fact that it's less of a sign and more of an answer. And ultimately, that's what it's gonna have to come down to. We're all back down to the wall of faith, essentially. And other people find that hard. I still struggle with that. But what it comes down to is the fact that as many times as you're willing to ask and willing to listen, God is going to answer to you. And you know, some people they say this is signs. Some people they say it's this and that. What it came down to me for the Book of Mormon, knowing if it's true, asking if it's true, following the promise in the back of the Mormon that if we ask it is true, is that it didn't come in, you know, like Joseph Smith had the first vision. I wanted it to come in the second vision. It didn't come that way. It didn't come in a dove landing on my windowsill and being like, wow, look, here we are. What it come down to is the fact that I was happy and I felt closer to God. And I felt that, and it's been confirmed to me time and time again as I've shared. And at the end of the day, that's my testimony.
All right. Well, hey, my thing is believe what you want to believe. Just as long as you hurting only you. You okay in my book. I don't believe, for the reasons that I've just told you. I have tons more theories upon my theories, and I'm still not convinced, because all I'm hearing is signs, and all I'm hearing is you will speak for your God, but you won't hold your God accountable for the things that not only has he done, because you have record of it, but for the things that he, if you believe in him, continue to do. So that's just how, again, I feel. It's cool. You guys are cool in my book. I'm cool with everybody. I just don't like everybody. And I appreciate you guys coming on here to talk for the first Challenge Your Belief discussion episode. I appreciate that a whole lot. Thank you.
Sure, man.
Guys, come back anytime you feel like it.
All righty. We'll see you around.
We had some tech issues where my technological brain forgot to push record in the very beginning, and it was such good stuff being said in the early portions of that. But hey, Challenge Your Belief. If you want to come on, talk about whatever it is that you believe in, religion-wise, hit me up.